Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, we got ever so slightly off course last time around, but we are coming up on day 100, so it's probably best if we make our noble intentions clear. And thus, we have found our way to Thunberg, so that we might put our full focus on this central side quest. That is to say, on which side we're questing with. So let's see what House Harkon has for us. Count Cunibert von Harkon greets you and takes you outside to his personal houndmaster. The dogs sit obediently as he walks down their line. He takes a hand across the tops of their heads. An easy, commandeering pet. Sir Lothar is leading my men east of here, and he has reported to me that a large battle may be on the horizon. The nobleman stops and turns to you. He thinks this could end the war with House Goswin. So I want you to go there and help out. Anything to put an end to this horrid conflict. You know what, Cunibert? Can I call you Bert? I like you. I like that you're showing off your dogs. I like you're not doing anything weird. Not really crazy about taking on the Godswins, but they were a bunch of pretty odd folks. Not exactly a huge payday, but we've got to take sides. We'll go meet your man and see how it goes. And thus we have chosen sides, which I believe means yes, immediate negative reaction from House Goswin, which is fair. Though I do question how news traveled quite so quickly. Let's shuffle our crew here a bit, just in case we get jumped. Generally speaking, in my experience, Noble House soldiers are slightly tougher than your average bandit raiders, but debatably weaker than rival mercenary companies, I think. Though I might be off base on that, it has been a while. Alright, let's go meet Sir Lothar, get the show on the road. Lothar. Hopefully he doesn't ask us to do anything too objectionable. The war camp is full of clinking and clanking. Blacksmiths work to repair equipment, cooks stew what horrid messes they suggest as food, and soldiers hammer in posts for their tents. You meet with Sir Lothar in his tent. Stolen away from all that metal noise, it is instead replaced by the arguments of his lieutenants. He shakes his head. When a large battle draws nigh, the men get nervous. Do not mind their bickering. Sir Lothar explains the situation. A few of my pathfinders have located some of House Goswin's scouts just northeast of here. They're rummaging around looking for the main army, but they won't find it because you'll be going out there to kill them all. Got it? Taking out enemy scouts? Yeah, we can certainly do that. The northeast, that is slightly problematic. That's putting us right towards this major town here. And look at that. Overgrown tombstones. We'll put a pin in that. Might come back for it later. But yeah, we've got to stay fresh for the moment. We might end up fielding an enemy patrol or two once we get too close to this keep. Though thus far, no reaction. Widowmaker's camp with a bandit leader. Ooh. Tempting, but no. Oh, for goodness sake. Brittle Hovel. Easy target, but come on, where are these guys? Northeast, but they could be moving around. Oh, wait, hold on. And there we go. Scouting party spotted. Just in time, it would seem. Let's get this done. As the raiders approached the scouting party, no words were exchanged. Just knowing looks, understanding resignation. Two parties who both understood their roles as expendable pawns for players far above their station. Thankfully, no arbalesters. That would be the biggest threat we could potentially face here. They were all but dogs of war, some more literally than others. And thus they barked, and bit, and some promptly bought. As was the fate of the first scout to get too close. A pair of Valin's axes buried deep in his chest. The rest of the raiders rushed forth. The hirsute heralds deftly dispatched. A brief pang, but no time for proper pity. Any regrets promptly drowned out by the boom of a handgun. A pikeman staggering, arm hanging by a thread. As racks circled wide, impassive gaze set upon a shivering shieldman. The battle began in earnest. Arrows raining across the formation, one finding a pikeman's face. Another billman's throat slit, body dropped, gurgling to the ground. Another shieldman quavered, bicep shorn to the bone. The gunners held, the field too cluttered for another volley. Trip finished, the closest soldier, pushing up. Racks cut down another. And still the last two standing fought on. At least as best they were able. But a shattering strike, a skull split asunder. And they folded. One on Rook's pike, and the other neath Rev's blade. A bloody and brutal victory, but merely a taste of what was to come. Honestly, though, not that bad. Really thought those guys would put up a bit more of a fight. The scouts are dead, and whatever they had learned is dead with them. Back to camp. Yeah, no level ups, no injuries. You return to the war camp and order your men to get some rest. Who knows what awaits you tomorrow? Oh, really? Well, shoot. Yeah, it's not even halfway into the day. We're not going to burn a whole day just sitting around. All right, well, we're doing okay on cart space. Let me just tag the more valuable finds here real quick. And, we've got like half a day to burn, so I guess... You know what? Let's take out a camp or two. Might as well, they're right here. See how the handguns fare against a full-on, shambling horde. Left to their own devices, the raiders wandered the countryside surrounding Sir Lothar's camp. Though not too far from the camp, they stumbled upon a rather grim and hasty burial site. The dumping grounds, no doubt, for the many unfortunates caught up in this conflict. I've been thinking about what that old man told us back in Karakin, Mark said as he readied his handgun. About Efreet being the spirits of people wronged so badly in life that they came back in death for revenge. You think that's what these things are? The raiders shifted restlessly. Even the anatomists were uncharacteristically quiet. Finally, Rex growled, heavy axe cradled in his hands. Does it matter? Cetris nodded beside. Would knowing actually make it better? Mark frowned, the former boyar giving that a moment's thought. No, I suppose it wouldn't. And the raiders set themselves to receive the approaching horde. Which honestly shouldn't take that long, because as we're seeing here, it does seem to be nothing but basic shamblers. No Geists, no Necromancer, no Noxerer. Easy XP. The first blast of the handgun kicked up dirt and dead alike. One corpse practically blown apart. Others staggering. Flesh-singed, goopy, half-rotten organs, slopping messily to the ground, but the figures attached. Tottering forward nonetheless. Unperturbed by their newly half-hollowed state. Can't help but notice there ain't no nobles amongst the dead here, Valen observed, pausing briefly as an axe leapt from his hand, thunking into an approaching undead. Drakiith snorted in response, blade rising and falling, two heads tumbling to the turf. More arrows and axes flew. A handgun roared. Bodies torn and tattered, briefly thrown back, but then teetering back forward on precariously broken limbs. Rax grunted, hacking another in twain. Course there ain't, he shouted back, wincing briefly as another handgun boomed beside him. Three shattered shamblers scattered to the grass. You really think nobles would be so eager to declare wars if it put them at personal risk? He does have a point, Rook agreed impassively. Conflicts of this scale are not won by simply removing the men in charge. There will always be someone eager to take their place. Rather, they are won by removing the infrastructure which feeds them. Have you not observed that the majority of these Wiedergängers we face appear to be peasantry? Militiamen, caravan hands, the low men on the totem pole, as it were. Nary a noble nor proper soldier to be seen, for they are too valuable to squander in such fashion. Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? Rack shrugged. At least they pay well. That they do. And the ceaseless grind continued. Corpses rising and cast back down just as quickly. The raiders settled into a grim, almost introspective silence as they hacked and hewed the last few wobbling, walking dead. The question hung heavy. Would this be the fate that awaited them all someday? Their experiences thus far would certainly imply yes, but much as Rex had said before, did it really matter? There was nothing they could do about it, aside from simply try to survive. To forestall fate for as long as humanly possible. Even as they tempted it on a daily basis. Alright, let's wrap this up. I have waxed poetic more than enough for one episode. Just hard to keep these Wiederganger fights interesting, you know? Hopefully we'll at least pull a couple of levels for our efforts. Let's get a few more guys up north. Yeah, handguns did okay. Not as dramatic as I might have liked. They're definitely more effective against living targets. Especially with the extra fear effect. Though I could have perhaps capitalized on it a bit better by swapping in more cleavers. You know, soften them up with handgun fire. Then get more guys like Drakiith wading in. Finishing off with more decisive strokes. Inappropriate. Normally I do, in my personal games, go a bit heavier on cleavers just because I tend to find them more fun. Those and flails, but you know, since we hadn't played in a while, I made a more concerted effort in this particular campaign to really kind of vary our loadouts to help individual characters stand out amongst the rest by bringing their own various builds to the table. Though, I mean, obviously we have some folks doubled up. Minimal redundancies in case one ended up biting it. Plus, of course, the undecideds. Seymore, Mal. I'll likely lock them in once they hit 7. And we're good. Slightly more of a slog than I would have liked, but that was inevitable. At least we pulled a level for Tommy. And yeah, not... Wow, we really got pretty much nothing to show for it, aside from XP. That is a shame, though just how it goes sometimes. We do have 2 more bases a bit further out, with slightly more satisfying targets to slaughter. Perhaps we'll hit one more. As for Tommy, level 10, which means Killing Frenzy. And for attributes, obviously the range. I mean, we're not going to pass up on that. But then, you know what? We'll go ahead and double up on defense. Get those bumped up, make him slightly more durable for those increasingly frequent occasions where he finds himself pinned down. And yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and hit the Brittle Hobble. Not much of a fight, but might as well. We've still got half a day to kill. Alright, let's do this. Weary of introspection and wary of existential dread, the raiders turn their attention towards more mortal concerns. Namely, a pack of opportunistic ne'er-do-wells they had spied whilst out and about in search of those scouts. The brigands hadn't even broken camp, perhaps assuming that their numbers were so few, the threat they posed so minimal, that the raiders wouldn't double back to clear them out. A fatal mistake. A brigand staggers, nose battered by Annie's flail. Diego finishes the man off. Rev moving up behind, disemboweling a pikeman. Another foe approaches, hatchets in hand. And the raiders move up to meet him. A toss from Tommy, splitting a shieldman's face. A blast from Mark, a wave of shrapnel tearing down the teetering pikemen. A follow-up shot, an axeman extinguished as well. A bandit wielding a brush hook, seeing the slaughter before him, eschews subtlety and simply turns to sprint away, leaving his one remaining fellow behind to meet a swift and painful fate. But, you know, can't really blame him. I'd probably run too. Rax's axe fells the second to last. And the brushhook bandit goes spilling down the distant slope. The raiders enjoy a good laugh, holding back, letting the poor man go. Perhaps he'll put his second chance to good use, but probably not. Hey, there we go. Seymore hit 6. Oof. Flubbed that melee roll, but we will definitely take the double defense. Plus the health, I think. Which actually just barely puts him ahead of the curve. Really only lagging on, I think, melee and morale. You know, I was originally thinking spear and shield for Seymore, but at this point, there are other potential avenues we could pursue. I'll have to give that some thought. I do think it will be at least in part contingent on where Mal ends up as well. Alright, let's go hit up Urlock real quick, so I can clear some cart space, then we'll head back to camp. See where we go from here. The company has made camp next to an abandoned priory, and the men are sitting around the campfire casting shadow animals across one of its stone walls. First a rabbit, then a panting dog, of course the bird, the head of a snake, and the little mouse for it to eat. One of the sellswords ponders what it is that these shadows get up to when they aren't looking. Trip holds his hands up, their shapes blackly set against the wall. I just mean, we have these things following us around everywhere we go. We toy with them, you know, and yet we don't really think much about it. I mean, look at this. What is this? He splays his hands wide, blobbing 10 fat shadows against the wall. The men ponder. Wow, they're really getting in their own heads after that whole Wiederganger thing. Well, what say the anatomists? I'd actually love to hear it. Verlin the Anatomist looks up from the campfire as you prompt him to speak, his face squirming with shadows as the flames rise and fall. Our shadows are but cuts upon the world which wound and mend all in one stride of black, dissecting the earth with our presence and self-same shaded presence in such a transient manner that it can't but be a preview of our stay here. But does the shadow think of dissecting you? Does it wish to free others which are like itself? Surely it is not alone. Surely our insides have shades. Do they cast tricks of themselves against our inner walls? What of when we sleep? Are these things set against us from within, or do they escape out into the world and wander? Are they the guards against our own minds, departing us in the night and leaving us to the horrors of dreamscapes which are surely present when we are awake? What distills the truth of the morning light better than our shadow cast along the ground, and the fleeting memories of that which it has returned to ward away? Trip stares at him. What? The rest of the sellswords scoff. Hey man, we just want to make like dicks and slags and shite. Check this out, I'm Verlin's shadow. Blah 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 blah. Rassel mimes a mouth opening and closing over and over again as the company laughs. Yeah, not really sure what response Verlin thought that was going to get, but I suppose he's used to it. Alright men, get some rest. For soon we will be called back to war. Speaking of which, you slept like a dead man, and wake like one too. The sunlight slipping into the tent is too blinding to go back to bed, and the flaps are too far to shut. To hell with it, you'll get up. A young boy stands outside your tent with a scroll. He unfurls and struggles to read it. So, yeah, I can't actually read, but I think the commander wants to see you? Yeah, that seems about right. You meet with Sir Lothar in his tent. He looks rather excited. A shrewd and shrouded little man stands by his side. The commander talks hurriedly. Did you know I once won a battle without so much as raising a sword? I managed to intercept a shipment of goods which left my enemy wholly unready to fight. So they surrendered instead. My little spy here tells me that House Goswin has a similar shipment of equipment coming in. I'm sure it won't end the war, but if you could go and take it out, that would be a huge boon. Intercept enemy supplies. Yeah, we can certainly do that. Gotta say, It's certainly preferable to some of the other alternatives. Though, hold on now, Tonder, that's... Really? Okay, well... I guess that does give us ample time to intercept, I suppose. Plus, a good excuse to clear some more fog, and... Where's that ancient reliquary? Oh, yeah, look at that. Just off right. Okay, you know what? Not ideal, but we can certainly work with that. Though, in the short term, I suppose that does give us a good reason to go... make a few more widows. Alright, Raiders. Let's go earn our pay. Also, just out of curiosity... Alright, well, look at that. Worried about nothing, it would seem. Yeah, I guess whatever militia supplies they had are thoroughly tapped at this point. And Widowmaker's camp. Thugs, poachers. Honestly, even the leaders, not much to worry about. Though that is a potential target for armor stripping, so... let's make sure we tag in stabbers. Right. Once more into the breach, my friends. Taking a circuitous route back towards Tonder, the raiders soon stumble upon a well-concealed fort at the foot of the dire hold. The Robber Baron. Huh, thought we already killed that guy. Guess it didn't take. Though I will say, that is a very nice helmet. Didn't we already kill this guy? Trip asked, peering warily from amidst the brush. Well, we did collect his bounty, Arrow responded, pausing to pop off a quick shot. Don't mean he was dead. Not like folks seem to stay dead these days anyway, Mal observed. There was a brief moment of silence as the raiders watched the brigands boil forth from their bulwarked base camp. Then, Mal tilted his head thoughtfully. That bounty. You think we could collect it again? Arrow shrugged. Only one way to find out. The initial clash was bloody and brutally one-sided. A swift sweep of Rev's blade, a head sent sailing. The raiders carefully framed the terrain, trying to control their foe's approach. With Sigmar circling wide to reinforce the north, so as not to block off Rax. The Robber Baron set his sights on the south, eyes narrowed. Even if it weren't the man they had killed once before, the sheer hate certainly seemed to mark him as a man beset with some manner of grudge. Trip darted in, cutting off the Robber Baron's approach, notched blade gripped tightly in hand. An echoing boom on center, somehow largely turned aside by paltry bucklers. A second blast from the brush catches them more unawares. A mauler stumbling, legs tattered, boots swiftly swelling with blood. Bowman takes aim. A flailman falls. The spearman behind him staggers. Zarmal savages a shieldman, stabbing him multiple times, the blade finding its way deftly past his shield with every well-placed strike. Random batters a swordsman on south. Rick holds, finding the brush impeding his aim. And he beats down one of the buckler-wielding swordsmen. The bandit swiftly having second thoughts, his helm practically gone concave. Trip warily ducks and weaves. A sudden slash. His blade pierces a swordsman's side. Mark takes aim. Shrapnel sweeps the field. 2 more fall, as well as a third neath Rev's blade. Billhook ending buried in the body of a 4th. Rax cuts down yet another. And Alois reloads. No clear line of fire. Seymore steps up, shielding Zarmal from slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Rook impales a flailer in passing. Zarmal brutally guts a goon, giving Seymore a quick nod before breaking south. Another bandit blocks his path, but only momentarily. A blast from Mark's cannon, and the Pikmin is no more. Alois scans the field, waiting for a good opening. Rax relentlessly marches forward. Another bandit falls. The bandit backline begins to break. A few half-hearted projectiles, falling well short of the raiders' line. Random finishes flailing the swordsman on south. And Trip holds, biding his time, waiting for the raiders to rally. Rev cuts down yet another, quickly clearing the north. Rook circles wide, staying his hand, but gesturing to the raiders to surround the robber baron. And surround him they do, the robber baron realizing too late that his fate has now been sealed, weapons stowed, daggers drawn, knives out and at the ready. A swiftly narrowing avenue of escape remains behind. But will he be able to act fast enough to take advantage? Almost certainly not. Perhaps with the aid of his erstwhile allies, but one by one, they're marked off the board. Yeah, let's go ahead and seal him in. Otherwise, we'll trash the armor when he tries to run. Honestly, light scale, not that big a deal. I mean, it's decent medium armor. The helmet, though, although certainly not the best, it gets extra points for style. A careful shot from arrow. Another foe falls. The backline officially breaks. Furtive glances shot towards distant horizon. But the raiders rush in, pinning the men down before they can flee. And thus begins the bloody harvest. Though to his credit, even panicked as he is, the robber baron manages to hold the first few blades at bay. But it's only a matter of time, as the last of his thugs falls. Zarmal finds an opening. Dagger piercing hand and arm. Rax swiftly following suit. Even as blasts sweep the back line. The last of the robber baron's hopes die, along with his fellow felons, brutally dispatched by the raiders' flails and spears. Oh, Trip, you're killing me, man. Really gotta up that melee. And thus it ends. The robber baron is once again no more. Barren and bereft, a threat that was simply not to scale with the raiders. Though... Oh, well, come on now. Did we ding his helmet at all? I mean, based on the rules I read on the wiki, which, granted, is outdated in many ways, we should have automatically acquired the helm. But, I mean, obviously we didn't, so I don't know what to say. Oh well. Would have been nice. At least we got some other nice stuff. Light scale, winged mace. Couple of trade goods. And how we looking up north? My goodness, okay, yeah, it's gonna take a while for that thing to come within safe striking distance, but I think that does work. We've got a pretty obvious approach path, which also lets us mark a few other things off our to-do list in the process. That said, let's head over to Matterfest. That'll make a good staging ground for our next move. Though, of course, we'll hit the pause button for now whilst I take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, clear our inventory a bit, where we're pretty full up at this point. And then, of course, we will pick up here next time, as we once again return to the north, albeit much less welcome than we were last time round. And perhaps hit up that ancient reliquary en route, though that might perhaps be best left for after. Either way, it'll definitely be interesting. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.